Hey everybody, it's Jennifer Terrell, 4-H Youth Development Agent for the Southwind District, and I am here for another week and another episode of Baking for Family Fun Month, and our focus is Valentine's Day. So we have some fun things to share with you this week that you can make with your entire family. So we have all the decorations and everything set up for you. So today is Brownie Truffle Bites. So the baking part is our brownies. So we have used a box mix, which is what the recipe calls for, but you are more than welcome to make them homemade however you'd like. But for this recipe, unfortunately, you have to cut off the outer edges. You can only use the nice gooey center parts. So if you know anybody who likes the edges when they're just a little more done, then you can make something fun out of those. For those people, maybe some dippers. I've seen the recipe for those, so that might be a good thing to do. But we are focusing on Brownie Truffle Bites today. So we have taken the center out of our baked brownies. So we followed the directions on the baking mix for this. And so now what we're needing to do is put in a 1/4 cup of our vanilla frosting. You can use any type of frosting if you want. So we are going to go ahead and add the 1/4 cup into the brownies. Okay, so we'll get that all in there. I'm going to use my fingers. I did wash my hands before just to make sure that you are washing your hands. And the fun part about this, and that kids will enjoy, is you have to squish it together with your hands. So make sure everything's out of the way. I do have a scarf on today. I wouldn't recommend doing this with a scarf on, but so you just mix it all together until you get it evenly distributed around. So it'll make quite a mess on your hands, but you'll get it all together. And then the next step is we will put it in the freezer for roughly 15 minutes until it's pretty put together, but we're gonna make it into balls before we do that part. Okay, now that we've got our mixture together, we are going to form them into about 1-inch balls. And so you can make them, and see it's messy, but that's the fun part. But you'll just make them into 1-inch balls and you'll set them on parchment or wax paper, whichever you prefer to use. But we are going to prepare them to go in the freezer. So just 1-inch balls, and you'll work up the rest of them until they're finished up. Since it is a brownie mix, and sometimes we use different pans for that, you might end up with more mixture than what I have, or you may have just the same amount as what we have today. So it just depends. Okay, so now we've rolled up all of our truffle bites. So you can see I started out kind of rough. They aren't the best shape, but then we got better as we moved on. So just a fun experience for hands-on activity. So now we will put them in the freezer, and they need to be in there anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. So it just depends how quickly they freeze and what all's in the freezer. So they need to be relatively flat also. And then we will show you the next step here in a minute. All right, so now we've removed our truffles from the freezer and we're ready to dip them. So they're pretty solid, so that's a good thing. And what you do is you just drop them into your melted chocolate and roll them around. And you can use a fork or anything you'd like to get them out. And then while the chocolate is still warm, you'll want to add your sprinkles. And forgive me, there's no break on the sprinkles. It just is all or nothing if I'm not too careful. So then you just sprinkle on some sprinkles so that's real cute. You can see it there. And then we just get another one. We're going to do something a little different on this one. But this is really fun activity for kids. You might watch and be careful with different dyed chocolates because there's a potential for them to stain clothing. So just be careful with that. And it's forgiving too. If you make a mess, you can just sprinkle or run the chocolate around it. So then we're just going to use a fork and we're going to drizzle It's not the most beautiful thing, but it's something fun to add. And then you can add sprinkles on top. And then you just let them harden, which you could put them in the fridge if you wanted to really make sure that they chill. But then we can finish the rest of the pan. You can use a cookie sheet with parchment paper. It's probably the best option, but we just used what we had here today. So I hope you enjoy making these with your family.